Mark, congrats on having the first wide release since COVID. I have to ask, though, $4 million box office opening weekend for a film that cost a reported $33 million to make, tens of millions of dollars more to market. Why are you considering that $4 million a success?
Sort of three things to say. The first one is, of course, we get revenue from all over the world, and that's already happened. We've done very nicely in the early going. The second thing, of course, is you make money not only in theaters, but also home video and TV and so on. And the third, and by far the most important thing, is everything about what's happening now is upside down. So that 4 million opening normally would be considered a flop, but what's happening is everything is starting slow and then holding on forever. So in the old days, it would be you'd have a big opening, and then the next week it would be down 40 or 50%. And that's how you would figure out, okay, roughly, here's what we're going to do. What's happening now is films are opening. Our film was opened all over the world and held in like crazy forever, and eventually it catches up.
It'll be interesting, though, to see what happens when you see some other films open in the coming weeks, including Tenet and also, of course, Disney's Mulan. How do you expect the launch of these other films to impact your ability to hold on in a market where a lot of people won't want to go to theaters?
We're seeing a lot from Australia and Europe that tells us that that actually helps instead of hurting. Normally you would think, oh, competition, that's going to knock you down. But what seems to happen is more people then realize theaters are open. They hear from friends that it's a comfortable and satisfying experience, and they end up going. So Australia's a really good example. There were 5 films that opened this last week, and our film went up from the previous weekend. So that never happens normally. So you can see what's happening here is everything is just COVID crazy.
Mark, how do things look on the production side? Is there this huge air pocket in, your pipeline or just the industries right now that we're going to have to work through both for theatrical release and, and other platforms?
There definitely has been at least a 6-month delay, and it could well be 9 months. We have a film with Ben Affleck we were supposed to be shooting in April, which got shut down. We're trying to get it back up in October. It is not easy. Everything about it is about 3 times as hard as normal. And I think to answer your question, there will be a gap somewhere along the way.
But in terms of a gap, though, do you think we'll just see fewer films do a theatrical release, and we'll see some of the smaller movies, maybe not the action movies, the more intimate movies, just go direct to consumer or through premium video on demand?
Well, there's no question the trend's been heading toward streaming for some time. COVID accelerated it in the same way it's accelerated e-commerce and Apple's stock price and a lot of other things. So I don't see any reason that would slow down. But it doesn't mean, of course, the death of theaters either. What it means is there will just be fewer films in theaters.
And when you think about your relationship with theaters, obviously we saw Universal, CNBC's sister company, negotiate a deal with theaters to have a 17-day window, with AMC to have a 17-day window, dramatically different than the 90-day window we used to have between a theatrical and at-home release. How do you think about your desire to have shorter windows between when consumers can see films in theaters and when they can watch them at home?
Well, it's been shortening for years, right? It was 6 months some time ago, and then it went to 4 months and then 3. So I suppose it's possible it will shorten some more. But that requires not only 2 companies like AMC and Universal, but all the theater chains and all the studios to go along with it. So far, that's not happening, but, this is the first conversation of many, and I expect that what we will do is be powerless in this situation and just try to support theaters, and whenever the big boys and girls decide what they're going to do, we'll say, thank you, ma'am and sir, and we'll go along.